Dave, I was telling the story. I was telling the story that it's 60 years ago today, the famous tornado outbreak. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember you telling me that probably more than anything drove you into the weather business. Is that true?
Yeah, it's true. It's absolutely true.
Were you living in Fridley or Osseo?
Circle Pines.
Circle Pines.
So we were just to the northeast of Fridley.
Yep.
And when they hit Fridley first. My cousins lived in Fridley, and the communications were down because it just wiped out like the Rice Creek Terrace area in Fridley.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had been talking to my cousin earlier, and then it cut out. I couldn't, we couldn't communicate after that. So the storms hit them first, and then hit us. And I was living in a house that didn't have a basement. My mom and dad were not the richest people in the world.
Right.
I love them to death, but we had no basement, no a crawl space under the house. Basically,
where did you go?
We went to the central hallway. I was with my brothers and sisters. We had 5 of us, and we were just kind of huddled in the hallway. One tornado, it was a twin tornado that went down Old Highway 8 and missed our house by about a quarter of a mile.
Right.
But it hit, neighbors and just destroyed a lot. As we know, I think there was 1,500 total homes either damaged or destroyed.
Oh, that's the number in the story. Did your house survive?
It did. It was a blessing for sure because it shouldn't have. There were houses around us that got obliterated, and we basically didn't get touched.
From a meteorological standpoint, we're supposedly ruining the earth, and supposedly storms are getting more severe. Why has that not happened since?
Well, it's just the odds. You look at the odds, and that's what they used to say. The heat island would keep storms away from the city. Mm-hmm. It's not true.
That's
we've
nonsense.
seen Miami get hit. We've seen Chicago get hit. We've seen the Twin Cities get hit. So it's just the odds of it happening. Mm-hmm. The odds of any of us actually living in a tornado or getting through a tornado, it's very small.
Right.
There aren't that many of them.
Right.
So it's just, it's still to this day kind of irks me that people think that, there's something special about being in a city when it comes to a tornado. There isn't.
Dave, what did you hear? It's Rook. What did you hear when you were huddled?
My brother farting a lot.
A lot of nervousness, I would imagine.
Yeah. It was crazy. We were hearing our house was getting pelted we had a stucco house, so it didn't, get siding damaged like houses these days get damaged by hail, but we were just getting pelted by golf ball size hail and just a lot of noise outside. My mom was looking out a window, mm-hmm. the worst thing you can do. She was watching all this happen through a window, and luckily the window didn't get hit, didn't get broken, and we all survived.
Well, what impact did it have on you?
It was a huge impact because I thought I was going to die that night. I mean, literally, when you don't have a basement and
How old were you?
I was 10.
All right, you were 10, and you thought you were going to die.
I was going to die, and that one night, with that many tornadoes in our area, made just a huge impact on me. From that night on, I wanted to figure out what causes tornadoes and if we can predict them better. And every book that I got from my mom and dad, I'd get books for my birthday, and they'd all be about weather. And I read every book that I could read about weather, and I just loved it.
Was it something your mom and dad talked about over the years?
They did many times, I think, because my dad, believe it or not, was at a bowling banquet in Moundsview that night, and communications were cut off, so we couldn't talk to him or anything.
Did he get home?
Yeah, he got home, but he way late that night because there was so much crap in the streets, and the highway patrol had blocked off the freeway. Just a lot of, but I don't think he got home and I stayed up. I think it was like 1 a.m. before he got home. Mm-hmm. But we were thankful that he was okay.
And he was in no shape to talk about it at that point, right?
He was lit up, right?
No, he didn't drink. He did not drink.
Okay, all right.
Are your mom and dad still with us?
They are not.
Okay.
They both passed. So, yep, impactful day for sure. And you just can't realize what a total impact it had on you until years later. But it did make me study what I wanted to study, and that was weather.
The only lasting memory, we were in Matamidi, which did not get hit, but I could see the funnels on the western horizon.
Yeah, it was nuts.
It was a very eerie signal. It was very strange.
What doesn't happen, Joe, very often is there was a place in Fridley, I believe it was in Rice Creek Terrace, where a tornado crossed paths with another tornado 20 minutes apart.
Good Lord.
So it exactly went over the same spot. You can see the tracks. Wow. If you ever look up the tracks of the tornadoes back in 65, there's one place that got hit, and it was obliterated. And I remember Vice President Humphrey coming in the next day in a military helicopter and landing in that, and I thought this looked like a bomb had gone off. I mean, there was nothing standing, even trees. They're just twigs sticking out of the ground.
That was a really wild spring because it was the same spring as the very significant flooding in the Mississippi.
Absolutely.
And Minnesota.
And Minnesota rivers.
Yeah. I think that all played a part into this kind of an outbreak happening in May 6th, which is early for a tornado outbreak for here in Minnesota. Most of our tornadoes come in June and July. Mm-hmm. And May was early May especially.
Did the tornadoes precede the flooding?
No, the flooding had happened already. I believe it was in April.
All right.
The worst flooding was in the middle of April. I think that's where we reached our high point in downtown St. Paul.
Right.
So yeah, but I think it all played a part. All those different weather events kind of played a part in 65 being a very interesting spring.
Dave, you'll understand this. I've looked it up on the internet, and it said it was a stalled boundary. A line of supercells formed along a stalled boundary between two low-pressure areas, one in Canada, one in Nebraska. And then these storms, like you just mentioned, formed and reformed over the same general area, causing some locations to be hit numerous times.
Right. There were three waves of storms, supercells, that formed along that stationary boundary. They'd form, then move along, and then another one would form. There were three of them that came through, which was, I remember the Weather Service talking about it for weeks afterwards, saying how unusual it was to have three separate waves of supercells come through one spot. And basically it was what we used to call back in the day, the Tornado Alley, was northwestern suburbs of the Twin Cities, was from Lake Minnetonka up through Fridley. Those spots usually would get a tornado. If there was a tornado warning that was going on, it was affecting those areas in the Twin
And then
Cities.
years later, didn't Care 11 got famous for chasing one in a helicopter in the same area, right, Dave?
Correct. Yeah, Brooks. Yeah, what was the name of the park? It was
I don't remember.
It was a nature center, but it was that was in 19.
That was early on. It's what legitimized Care 11.
I want to say it was 80.
That was 87. 87 or 88.
87.
Yeah.
Dave, that was in 65 on May 6th. That was the first occasion of using sirens.
Was it really?
Yeah, they had not previously been used. And radar was primitive, wasn't it? Not the kind of stuff you guys have today.
No, it was black and white. We had white spots on the radar scope that would show where storms were. And colorized radar didn't come until afterwards.
It was kind of a novelty then, right? We didn't actually have meteorologists on the air. We just had guys, right?
Some guy who at 3 o'clock was Bozo the Clown, and then at 10 o'clock he was doing the weather.
Pretty much, yeah.
Who would that have been? Finden?
Oh, this is way before.
That was before Roy.
Yeah, it was. Geez.
Bud Kraling never saw a weather book in his life. He was a talk show host or something.
What a great guy.
Oh, yeah, he was a wonderful guy.
So, Dave, you were just chasing some storms a couple of weeks ago, were you not, in southern Minnesota? I thought I heard that.
It was just like a week ago. Wasn't it Monday, a week ago today?
Yes.
Yeah.
What'd you find?
A week ago today. We saw one. We caught one, and we put it on our Facebook page. It was Paul Barber. He kind of owns and runs Oh, Ziggy's in Hudson, and I do a broadcast there for football on all the Sundays that the Vikings are playing. We do a party there as the biggest Vikings bar in Wisconsin, and it really is. We packed the place out. But anyways, Paul Barber and I went chasing, and I had John Uhas was out too with another truck. There was a direct satellite link.
Yeah.
And, yeah, we had a good time. We caught one that was just outside of New Ulm, and then we went to Waseca and got hit by these 70-mile-an-hour, it's called a rear flank downdraft that comes in behind a tornado.
Whoa.
And that thing hit us hard. And we just had a little car, but we ran into a lot of storm chasers that night because it was all pretty hyped, and I think it was overhyped. But
oddly enough, that was also your best tennis move, wasn't it?
funny.
Dave, thank you. How's your life? You good?
I'm good. I'm still healthy. How
All
about
right,
you?
good.
I haven't talked to you in a long time. What's up with you?
Well, we do a podcast,
still
Dave.
crabby.
What's up with you?
Dave, he's transitioning right now, about to go under the knife.
Okay. I believe he is.
I'm going to be calling you shortly and getting you on Krabby, so I'll look for that call.
Okay. Shortly today, as in today? Or
Nah, give me
What, you got plans you're worried about?
June. I'm going to call you in June, David.
You guys are awesome.
Goodbye, Dave.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Hey, Dave, look
See
at
ya,
him.
Dave.
Thank you.
Look at him.
Thank you.
Look at him.
No, we got to give him a proper sign off.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ken. What were you going to say?
I think we were talking about Barry Zavan, were we not?
I think he wasn't even around then. No, in '65, you were using the guys who were the rear end of a horse on a kid's show